Welcome to Tag Talks Happy Hour with Ajit Kara. One part small talk, all parts real talk. This is the part of the day when Ajit gets to know the people behind the job titles at Tag.
Hello, my name's Ajit Kara and I'm the Tag CEO for the Americas. Welcome to my podcast. I decided to do this podcast because I believe that Tag's biggest asset is our people. And I wanted to spend some time deeply getting to understand what makes them tick and what's behind the person that we tend to see virtually and in the flesh in around the business. So today I'm delighted that I'm going to speak to a lady called Olga Kravchenko. I've probably butchered that name, but I'll come on to talk to her in a second around that. As always, I'm joined by my producer, Kaylie Stansfield. Hey, Kaylie, how are you?
I'm well, Ajit. I'm going to invite Olga to say her name so that everybody knows how to say it correctly.
Kravchenko.
Kravchenko. Now we know.
Yeah, I'm very sorry about that. I do know that you are going to get married soon. I hope your husband has a better name.
I'm keeping mine.
Right.
Can't get rid of such a treasure.
Right. Okay. Olga, welcome to my podcast. Cheers.
Thank you, Ajit.
And have a sip of your wine. Do you like the Chablis that I poured for you?
Yes, I do. It's much better than whatever you're drinking.
My red one, yes, exactly. So obviously, as I now have butchered your name, I apologize to all of your family for that. Olga, tell me where you're from originally then. That's a very interesting name.
Originally, I'm from Grodno, Belarus.
Oh, wow.
It's right on the border of Poland and Lithuania.
Right. Wow. That's really in the news at the moment. When did you come to the US?
I came to the U.S. in the 2000, but my extended family is all there. So all of my grandparents, one of my aunts, and of course, all of our extended cousins are still over there.
And did you, before the kind of recent situation, go there frequently to see family, or have you been mainly over here?
You know, not as much as I would hope. My grandparents used to come here all the time for extended periods of time. It was easier for them because they're retired, and so they were able to come for a month or two at a time. Whereas when I go over there, it's a week or two.
Sure. And we've spoken to other people on these podcasts that have come from that region of the world, and they say it's beautiful. I mean, I've never been. Is it beautiful there?
It's stunning. I think Belarus is an undiscovered country. And part of the reason why it's so hard to visit is because it's a communist region. So you had to get a visa in order to be able to go there. So a lot of people never came. But then they opened up the borders, and for a while there, it was easily accessible. Now, of course, it's not the case, with the war. But I do hope everyone goes and sees. It's stunning. It's unlike anything you've ever seen, and it's completely not touristy.
Sure.
So you feel immersed in it as soon as you get there.
Well, let's hope it all becomes peaceful soon.
On that note, we have 2 Ukrainian refugees that are living with my parents at the moment.
That's awesome. Well done, your parents.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's been lovely to be able to help and to be able to have some sort of impact in a terrible situation when people have no place to go. So,
The outpouring of when we set up our fund appeal in the organization, I was astonished at the generosity of all of the people that work for TAG. But I do find that when horrible situations happen, it could be, as you say, war or natural disaster or anything, that the kindness of all people does tend to come out. There's a lot of good people out there. There's a lot of great things that happen.
It's incredible to me. It's incredible how the community just pulls together and you feel like there's support all around you. Even in the city as big as New York, sometimes you feel like you're just by yourself. But in reality, you're surrounded by people who care, and you just have to take a closer look.
Yeah, that's astonishing. Well, please do thank your parents. That's amazing. Really is amazing. When you left, did you leave on your own or did you go with family?
I left with my parents and my sister. I was 11 years old when we came here, and I have to say, it was a bit of a rude awakening.
To say the least.
To say the least. I knew all of about 5 English words when we came here. Although it was hard, my parents did it for all the right reasons, and I can't thank them enough for doing it because the amount of opportunities I have being here is something that I would never have otherwise.
And I realised that because I did your name wrong, I didn't say what you do because I've just completely gone off my formula now because your name confused me. But you're the Director of Business Management, so you're very good on the numbers and the commercials. Was that linked to the fact that you had limited vocabulary. So did you focus on math, or was that the link?
That's actually exactly why. So when we came here, the only subject I was good at was math, because I didn't even attend history or English classes. And instead, I attended English second language classes. And so as I progressed in high school, science and math was always I was very good at. Now, of course, I had no idea what you would do with a science degree. I was like, oh, I don't know.
Right.
So math it was. And I was like, okay, well, it can be math or it can be finance. And my parents were like, go into business.
My experience of working with you is that it does define you, because when you let the logic and the math do the talking, and you're very scientific around that.
I think I have to, right? So I think when I first came here, English was so hard and it was impossible, right? I think my first homework assignment in a science class, which I don't know why it was a science homework assignment, was to write a recipe for a PB&J sandwich.
Wow.
I had no idea what PB&J stood for. So I went online and I did some Googling. Now imagine if you're Googling and typing in PB&J, but you don't understand any of the words that are coming out on the internet. And you're like, I have no idea what's going on. So
who puts peanut butter and jelly together?
Yes, it honestly never even crossed my mind that could be a combination. I always thought that was a fluke people wrote about. So anyway, long story short, I really disliked writing after that, just throughout my whole career. And I loved finance classes because the most you had to write was 1 page. And like any huge report you do is 1 page of writing.
That's answer why your executive summaries are always sync and quite short.
Just important to put the most important bullet points.
And when you think, are you still thinking is it Russian is your native language, or?
Russian is my native language. I think in English for the things that I do in my life in English, and I think in Russian for the things that I do in Russian. So anything my family related, because I speak to my parents in Russian, I think about in Russian, and everything work related and friends related, I think about in English.
Do you ever play that game that I wish I could do? I wish I knew many languages, that you go into a restaurant or some hospitality, you obviously come across that you only know English, but you can really listen and hear what everyone is saying about you and everybody else in a foreign language.
Oh, we always do that. And my sister and I, when we travel, we try to first gauge the atmosphere, who speaks what language, and then we'll pick a language to talk about. So, for instance, we went to the Czech Republic, and shockingly to us, a lot of Russians live there. And usually we speak in Russian when we travel because most people speak English. Yeah. But this time around, we're like, oh, no. We speak in English because everybody here understands Russian. So we're not doing that.
Have you met a Russian famous person?
Yes, I have. I met Alexander Ovechkin. He is the captain of the Washington Capitals hockey team. He is a huge super mega star in Russia because every Olympics he used to play for the Russian team, even though he lives here in Virginia. But I'm a personal fan because my grandpa and I have been watching hockey together since I was an itty-bitty girl.
Ice hockey.
Ice hockey.
Keeping on the Olympic theme then, so what was your sport when you were growing up?
I used to do professional trampoline.
Oh, my goodness.
So...
And please help define, what does professional trampolining mean versus going up and down in the back garden?
So the trampolines you guys have here are round, and they have a black net with tiny, tiny holes. That is not what a trampoline actually looks like. An Olympic trampoline is this gigantic rectangle with a red cross in the middle. And it's white with a red cross, and the holes are quite big. And so when you're talking about jumping, you're not talking about a foot or 2 or even 5. You're talking about 30, 40, 50 feet up in the air, right? And so when I was growing up, that's a sport I did, and I loved every second of it. It was really hard. We had this one guy who I trained with, but he was in a much more senior group. He used to be able to touch the ceiling in this ginormous gymnasium, and I wanted to be just like him. I was like, oh my God, one day I'm going to be just like him.
And what happened then? So you got quite professional at this, or are you pretty good?
So Well, now I'm sure I'm atrocious. But I was doing pretty good. I actually started winning some medals. And then we came here.
This is pre-11 and before you came.
Pre-11, yes. And then we came here, and because it's a very popular sport in Belarus. So when we came here, my parents were like, no problem. You're going to be able to do it here. And we looked it up, and there's like probably 4 places in the whole country that does this sport. And no one in Connecticut.
Connecticut wasn't one. No.
Connecticut was not one of them exactly. So that just had to get put on the back burner. But it's still a dream, right? It's still a dream in my head. And one day I'm going to be able to jump again.
And without wishing to be simple about this, yes, I get the height, but were you being asked to do other aerobatics with it as well? Like
Yes, you have to. You have to do 10 elements.
What do you get scored on then?
On your elements and the height.
Right.
And like how far you jump, how fast you stop, right? Because from that height, you have to stop in one go. So like you land and that's it.
Any injuries?
Oh, many injuries. I can assure you hitting a trampoline face first hurts quite a bit. But in reality, the trainers are professional, right? The way they train you, you start off first. I do have to say my poor mother probably replaced more shirts than I can imagine because the trainer holds your shirt. And the minute you start flying off the trampoline, they pull you back. And oftentimes your shirt doesn't make it.
So I pity if you have children when you get married. They're clearly going to have the birthday party with the trampoline in the garden or the bouncy castle. And you're going to show your kids up because you're going to throw them aside and show them how it's done, isn't it? You're going to be one of those mums.
Ajit, I think you have to live it up to the fullest, right? You just can't. Age does not define you. It's how you feel inside.
Well, when we built our trampoline in our garden, which is obviously nothing like what you described, it was exactly as you described. It was round with the small holes in, but it was a reasonable sized trampoline. And my daughters and I would fight who could go on, but they wouldn't want me to come on because they would just sink wherever I was.
Yes, that happens. But, in all the competitions, you're usually the only one on the trampoline.
That's true. And you like to travel. Where are the sort of favorite places that you've been?
So I've been to many beautiful places in the world, but I think the vacation that really stands out to me is my trip with my sister to the south of France.
Wow.
We rented a car for 17 days.
Wow.
And we went around all the small towns, and we literally drove all along the coast to Monaco and then all the way back. And we just stayed in this quaint Airbnbs, drank lots of wine, tried these restaurants that are literally for 2 people.
Amazing.
And it was incredible. It's still one of the best vacations. And my sister was like, okay, so when are we going again?
Wait, is that your honeymoon? You're going to leave your husband and take your sister again on the trip?
No, but I am going to take my husband to the south of France on my honeymoon, actually, to make sure that we get to do it again.
Now, the big question, though, is your cat going to your wedding?
No.
Wow, she's going to be upset. I think that's very cool of you personally, but,
Ajit, if I could, I would bring her, but I don't think she's so keen on flying.
Oh, it's going to be somewhere else, is it?
It's in Paris.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's how beautiful. What a beautiful city.
Yes, I'm very much looking forward to it, especially their food.
Oh, yeah. What do you like when it comes to their food then? I obviously see that you like your white wine.
I'm a huge fan of their pastries. And so instead of having a cake, we're having a buffet bar of just pastries.
Nice.
Which I'm going to be in heaven. I'm saving room from dinner just to be able to eat all of this.
Wedding dress is going to have a bit of elasticity.
Yes, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's mandatory.
Nothing sounds nicer to me. I love French bread, French wine, cheese, pastries, actually pretty much everything. So why Paris?
Well, originally it was because my grandparents, when I got engaged, told me that, sorry, honey, America's very far away. We can't make it.
Wow.
To be fair, my grandparents are older and Belarus doesn't have any direct flights. So in order for them to get even to New York, it takes about 30 hours.
Wow.
So what we decided on was, let's do a destination wedding. Let's pick a midpoint. We're very fortunate. We have friends all over the world.
Right.
We have some people coming in from Israel, some people coming in from Hong Kong. My childhood friend is coming in from Germany. We have people coming in from Canada, the US, and we thought that it would be such a great treat for everybody to be somewhere else. And I mean, what better city than Paris?
Yeah. Sounds like a logistical nightmare.
That can all be fixed.
Ask Ajit anything!
This is your opportunity now to ask me any question that you have.
I would love to ask you a question. I've been waiting for this.
Okay, that makes me a bit nervous.
No, we shouldn't. You have a sister.
Yes,
right?
I do, yes.
Just one?
Just
You don't
one.
have any other siblings?
No.
Do you ever get into mischief with her when you were younger?
That's a good question. So my sister is 3 years older than me. It depends on sort of mischief. I think she was definitely the older, more lively child. I was the very subservient and following her around sort of child because I was younger. And I do have this distinct memory that if ever she hears these, she'll kill me. But I remember her once trying to convince me that she'd found a worm, and she tried to convince me of spaghetti for me to eat it.
Did it work?
I don't believe it did work, but she did make a convincing argument. So we did have quite a lot of fun when we were very young, but she was obviously mothering me. So I had two mothers as we were growing up. But she's a wonderful person and very, very important in my life.
Okay. Does she come to visit you here often?
Not often, not enough, no. I tend to go back to the UK every 3 months anyway, so I see her there when I go back. But yeah.
Okay.
Good question. So, Olga,
Yes.
I won't say your surname again, but thank you so much for all the numbers, the commerciality that you do for our business. I'm sure your wedding in Paris is going to be amazing, and enjoy the second part of your trip going to the south of France and in sharing with your new husband all the fantastic things that you and your sister saw. Thank you, Olga.
Ajit.
Cheers.
Join us soon for another episode of Tag Talks Happy Hour with Ajit Kara and learn more about the people behind the job titles at TAG.